It started with a dog barking at 2:17 a.m. Not the restless bark of a bored pet or a raccoon rustling through garbage cans. This was frantic, panicked, urgent howls cutting through the thick silence of a Kansas night. On Maple Street, where porch lights flick off by 10 and neighbors wave without ever sharing names, something cracked the illusion of peace. A porch light flicked on, then another. Curtains shifted, and then screaming. By the time police arrived, the sound had stopped. But Winfield, Kansas, population 11,931, would never return to silence. Not really. Not after that night. Because the nightmare hadn't started at 2:17 a.m. It had started long before. While parents packed school lunches. While church bells rang. While meat smoked on grills at summer barbecues. The man who stood over the town like a shepherd of small-town virtue had been watching, waiting, and killing. His name was Carl Whitaker. He lived in the tidy red brick home on 8th and Grove, the one with the hand-carved birdhouse and perfect lawn. He taught Sunday school, organized food drives, was once photographed hugging the mayor during a charity run. To the people of Winfield, Carl wasn't just a neighbor, he was the neighbor. Dependable, unshakable, good. The press would later call him the good neighbor butcher. But to the mothers of Winfield, he'd be something else entirely. January 2011. It was the kind of winter that crept into bones. Trees stiffened with ice. Wind sliced across Main Street like razors. That was the night Emily Harris, age 17, didn't come home. She'd finished her evening shift at Rosewood Nursing Center just after 10 p.m. Called her mom. Said she was grabbing a soda before heading home. But she never walked through the door. Her mother, Cheryl Harris, called the police at 3:12 a.m. She wouldn't do this, Cheryl pleaded with the dispatcher. She's not like that. She's good. Sergeant Linda Harrow took the report and drove the ice-glazed streets herself. Half a mile from the nursing home, behind rusted tool sheds and snow-blanketed brush, she found Emily's car. Locked. Neat. Her purse still inside. But no sign of Emily. Back at the station, a man stopped by with a tray of donuts. "You all work too hard," he said with a warm smile, placing them on the counter. "Just wanted to do my part." That was Carl Whitaker. 6 months later, another girl vanished. Janelle Brooks, 22, home for the summer from Wichita State University, disappeared after visiting a friend. She'd texted at 9:32 p.m., "On my way." Then, nothing. Again, the community grieved. Again, flyers were posted. Carl Whitaker helped print them. At the vigil in Lions Park, Carl stood front row, head bowed, hands folded, a flickering candle casting long shadows on his clean-shaven face. "God bless her," he whispered to a reporter. "She was just a baby." Over the next 3 years, 3 more women disappeared. Cassie Rowe, 19, vanished after a movie night. Leah Daniels, 26, never returned from a jog. And Samantha Vick, 30, left behind a broken porch light and a half-packed suitcase. But nothing connected them. Different ages. Different backgrounds. No links. Except one. Every one of them disappeared within 5 miles of Carl Whitaker's daily route. Be it church, volunteer shifts, or home. But no one looked at Carl. Not until Maria Lopez. 2015 survivor statement. Maria was 18. Walking home after curfew. A guy pulled up in a white truck. She told Detective Steve Madsen, newly transferred from Wichita PD, showed a badge. Said I was violating city curfew. Offered me a ride. Her voice shook. But something felt off. He smiled too much. Too rehearsed. I told him my dad was a cop. He froze. Said never mind and sped off. That detail sparked something. Detective Madsen began digging. Carl's name surfaced again and again. Neighborhood watch sign-ins, event rosters, surveillance footage. Always just out of frame. Always there. He drove a white Ford F-150. The same type spotted 2 blocks from the theater the night Cassie Rowe vanished. When questioned, Carl chuckled. "Oh, that thing. Sold it in 2014. Trucks don't last in Kansas winters." Matson contacted the buyer. It looked brand new, the man said. Spotless, like it had never been used. Carl had it detailed before the sale. Still, it wasn't enough. No bodies. No proof. Just whispers. The break. In 2018, a crew laying water lines behind an old silo unearthed something beneath the soil. 3 bodies. Shallow graves. Tarps. Remnants of duct tape. DNA confirmed it. Emily, Janelle, and Cassie. Carl lived 2 miles away. That same night, Matson got a warrant. The house on Grove Street. The walls were clean. Too clean. Luminol tests revealed faint traces of blood behind a false wall in the basement. And a diary, cryptic notes in shorthand. At first glance, gibberish. But once cross-referenced with disappearance dates, a pattern emerged. He watched them, Matson whispered, flipping pages. He planned it. Every time. In one entry. 9:12 p.m. lights off. Alone. Tomorrow. Another. Smiled. She smiled back. Means I'm ready. Carl was arrested that night. Outside, news crews captured his arrest. In cuffs. Still smiling. Don't trust the ones who smile the most, he told a reporter. The evidence was overwhelming. The diary. The truck. The false wall. The bodies. Carl's defense claimed coincidence. Lack of direct forensic links. But the jury didn't buy it. He was found guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder, suspected in 5 more. But the story didn't end there. 8 months after Carl's conviction, the FBI got a call. A shallow grave in Siloam Springs, Arkansas. Same bindings. Same tarp. Same chilling signature. A Polaroid photo placed in the victim's hand of a curtain fluttering in an open window. The photo meant nothing to anyone, except Special Agent Dana Whitmore, who'd flagged a similar case in a 2011 Kansas file. Richard Hemsworth, a name no one had mentioned until now. It was the photo that changed everything. Found in the hand of a decomposed victim buried near Siloam Springs, Arkansas. A Polaroid of a window, its curtain gently swaying. Meaningless to most. But Special Agent Dana Whitmore had seen it before. Years earlier, buried in the appendix of a Kansas case file, the same photo was described by a forensic examiner. It had been discovered tucked into a Bible in the home of a missing woman, Leah Daniels. No fingerprints. No explanation. Now it had reappeared. Only this time, it came with a body. And a different name. The Arkansas grave didn't belong to Carl Whitaker. It bore the signature of someone else. The rope knots were different. The way the tarp was folded. A different pattern of burial, farther from roads, deeper beneath soil. But the calling card, the photo, was identical. Agent Whitmore ordered a re-examination of all open cases that matched the MO within a 500-mile radius. 12 surfaced. 8 in Arkansas. 2 in Oklahoma. 1 in southern Missouri. And 1, just 1, back in Kansas, long before Carl Whitaker ever made headlines. The name associated with that file? Richard Hemsworth. Richard Hemsworth was the quiet type. Worked in pest control in Wichita from 2007 to 2009. Moved frequently. No family ties. Never married. The only reason his name existed in the system was a tip submitted anonymously in 2012. Someone claimed Hemsworth had a hobby of following joggers at night. But by then, Hemsworth had vanished. No known address. No social media. No paper trail. The case file sat untouched. Until now. Back to Winfield. Detective Steve Matson hadn't heard the name Richard Hemsworth before. But as soon as he did, a chill crawled down his spine. Because there was something familiar about the Arkansas victim. Something in her wounds, her bindings, the methodical cruelty. It didn't match Carl Whitaker's usual pattern. Carl was compulsive. Opportunistic. He hunted close to home. This was something else. Precise. Professional. Like practice. Matson began reviewing Carl's financial records from years before his arrest. And that's when he found it. A property tax payment for a small, remote hunting cabin 45 minutes south of Winfield. A second house, never mentioned. Never searched. March 14th, 2023, the cabin. The road to the property wasn't on Google Maps. Gravel turned to mud. Trees thickened into forest. No visible mailbox. No power lines. The only sign of life. A rusted mailbox with the initials RH. When officers broke the lock on the cabin's door, the stench hit them like a wall, chemical rot and mold. The entire interior had been gutted. Plastic tarps on the walls. Hooks drilled into the beams. And in the back room, jars. Dozens of them. Each labeled. Each containing a small object. A lock of hair, a tooth, a ribbon, and a name. Janelle, Cassie, Leah, Samantha, and then a new set of names investigators didn't recognize. Victims not yet found. The twin killers theory. Carl Whitaker had always acted alone, or so they thought. But the evidence inside the cabin painted a different picture. There were two handwriting styles on the jar labels. Two types of rope. Two kinds of photos. One neat and methodical. The other erratic. Messy. Like obsession scribbled onto film. DNA swabs from inside the cabin confirmed the presence of Carl Whitaker. But they also confirmed a second male contributor. The same DNA matched hair follicles found on the Arkansas victim. Richard Hemsworth wasn't a ghost. He was real. And worse, he was still out there. How they met. Carl's old emails, hidden under layers of encrypted storage, revealed a dark truth. In 2008, Carl had joined an online message board for survivors of trauma. At least, that was the cover. The real purpose of the forum was darker. It was a place where violent fantasies were shared and normalized. One of the most active users? RH_Spectre92. Their messages began harmlessly, philosophical musings, commentary on criminal psychology. But over time, the tone shifted. They began sharing blueprints, discussing what-ifs, staging fantasies, until fantasy became action. May 2010, the first kill. In a now-deleted thread, RH_Spectre92 detailed his first test run. A small town. An unlocked door. A blonde girl. No cameras. It matched the details of Kayla Stroud, a 19-year-old college student who disappeared from McPherson, Kansas, in May 2010. Her case had gone cold. Now it wasn't. Carl had been in McPherson that same week, helping a friend with a termite infestation. His receipt from the local diner placed him in town just 6 hours before Kayla vanished. In a stunning twist, Carl Whitaker agreed to a second interview. "I never killed alone," he said calmly. "Not the first time. Not the last." When asked who helped him, he smiled. "Sometimes I led. Sometimes he did. We taught each other." He wouldn't say Hemsworth's name, only referred to him as the mirror. He was me, but unhinged. Carl wouldn't give up Hemsworth's location, but he gave a clue. He liked trains. Said you could vanish by following them. Ghost towns, rail yards, he called it his kingdom. The final clue. Using old Amtrak freight line maps, agents tracked a string of abandoned train stations through Oklahoma and Arkansas. In one of them, Camden, Arkansas, they found a forgotten depot, the kind the world forgot. Inside, they discovered a sleeping bag, a notebook, and a Polaroid taped to the wall. A girl, smiling, alive. The photo was recent, taken within weeks. The caption underneath, scribbled in pen. "The last one. Then I vanish." The hunt begins. Richard Hemsworth was still hunting. Somewhere along America's forgotten railways, the other half of this monstrous duo was preparing to kill again. The FBI launched a multi-state manhunt. Alerts were issued. Flyers posted. But Hemsworth had always been the smarter one. The quieter one. The true predator. And unlike Carl, he didn't crave attention. He craved disappearance. Back in Winfield, the town still hasn't recovered. The Whitaker home on Grove Street remains vacant. Overgrown. Condemned. Some say you can still hear dogs barking at night. Some say they never stopped. And inside the church where Carl once preached about forgiveness, the pews are now empty. Because trust, once broken, isn't easily restored. especially not when it was the good neighbor who tore it apart. Final words. The story of Carl Whitaker and Richard Hemsworth is more than just one of horror. It's a warning that evil doesn't always wear a mask. Sometimes it wears a smile. Sometimes it shakes your hand. And sometimes it lives right next door. If this story chilled you to the core, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more unsettling tales from the darkest corners of true crime. This is Whispers of Crime, where the quietest voices hide the loudest secrets.